Hey everyone, it's Miss B back with another video. So this is actually the back of the sheet that says conditional statements. So let's see, it's the back of the sheet that looks like this at the very top. So you flip it over to the back, then you will see inverse, converse, and contrapositive. These are all very important vocabulary words that we need to know for our quiz that we are going to have on September 16th. So the inverse is formed by negating the hypothesis and conclusion. So you read it as squiggly P, squiggly Q. The converse is formed by switching the hypothesis and conclusion. So you would say Q, then P. So usually we are starting with the original conditional statement, if P then Q. Now we're going to say if Q then P. The contrapositive is formed by actually doing a combination of these two. So that equals something like saying formed by negating and switching the hypothesis and the conclusion. So that looks like negate Q, then negate P. Let's look at some examples of how to do these. Yes, it's a lot of writing. Yes, these words are technically math. I know all the complaints already, so just bear with me. We're going to get through this unit, then we don't have to write this much for the rest of the year. So the directions say write the inverse, the converse, and the contrapositive of the following conditional statements. Determine the truth value. Basically, you're saying, is this true or false? And if false, provide a counterexample. So number one says, if it is a Saturday, then there is no school. So the first thing that I would do here is determine the hypothesis and the conclusion. So reminder, the hypothesis is everything after if. So this would be your hypothesis. And everything after the then, that is your conclusion. So that works in how I have to do my inverse and my converse. So my inverse, remember, that is negating it. So my inverse here, that is saying if it is Saturday, the inverse would be if it is not Saturday. Oops, that's not how you spell Saturday. Then there is no school. We have to make both of them nots. We have to negate them both. So this negating over here means make both of them not. Forgot to write that down. So the truth value, it says if it is not Saturday, then there is no school. So that is saying the only day we don't have school is Saturday, which is false. And we have to provide a counterexample. Remember, the counterexample proves our conjecture wrong. So what other day can we say that there is no school? There's one more. Of course, it is Sunday. Then we have to do the converse. Remember, the converse is when we switch. So we would actually switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. So I'm going to put if. Then I'm going to write my conclusion. If there is no school, then I am going to input my hypothesis. Then it is Saturday. So saying the only day there is no school is Saturday. So there's no school, then it is automatically Saturday, which is false. The truth value here is false. And another counterexample would actually be Sunday. Then we have to do the contrapositive. And remember, the contrapositive, you make them both no's and you switch. Make no and switch. So the first thing that I would do here is switch it up. So I would say if there is no school, then it is Saturday. So here I will go off based on what I see. So if there is no school, I have to negate that. I have to make it the opposite. So I would say if there is school, then it is not Saturday. Oh my God, what did I say? Then it is not. Remember, because we're negating Saturday. So you can actually follow this order. It'll be a lot easier because once you get to contrapositive, you've already switched it here. So the only thing there is left to do is just to negate both of those statements. And if there is school, then it's probably not Saturday. That is actually true. Okay. Let's move on to number 2. I know these are a little bit difficult to understand, but let's power through these. Number 2 says, if the product of two numbers is odd, then both numbers must be odd. Okay, so first thing we have to do is the inverse. So we have to negate them, make them no's. So I would say here, if the product of two numbers is even, right? Make it the opposite. Then both the numbers must be even. And I know it's like Miss B, but you have to make them no's. So you would say the product of two numbers is not odd. Yeah, that's what even means. So I guess you could say not odd, but we already have a word for that. So let's just use that word. Both numbers. And let's find the truth value. So it says the product of two numbers is even, then both of the numbers must be even. That's false. Because it's saying if the answer to a multiplication is even, then the two numbers you multiplied have to be even, but that is very much a lie. Because you could say, for example, 5 times 10 is 50. 50 is even, but 5 is odd, so that is false. Then we have to do the converse. Remember, this is the one where you switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. So you would say if, then the conclusion. If both numbers are odd, then, and here's where I input my hypothesis. So I would say if two numbers are odd, then their product is odd. And that's actually true. If you don't believe me, you can definitely grab your calculator and try multiplying two numbers that are odd. 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 3 is 9, 5 times 3 is 15. All of these make this true. The contrapositive is when you negate and switch. And once you're working with contrapositive, it's probably easier to work from here, from this converse, because you've already have them switched. The only thing you have to do is to negate them. So I would say if both numbers are even, or you could say not odd, then their product is even. Or you could say not odd, but we have a word for that. Come on, y'all. And the true value to that then is actually true. So 2 times 2, 4, 10 times 2 is 20. I don't know. 4 times 4 is 16. This is actually true. If you don't believe me, go search for it. Second, number 3. Number 3, I do want you to do on your own. So remember, you negate here. You switch here. And you do both here. You negate and you switch. So pause this video, do it on your own, and go get your name tallied off. I'll see you in the next video.